Welcome everyone, today we have a new builder's guide for Path of Exile. And yes, as you can see behind me, I have finally made my own Deadeye build, and this build is actually amazing. And as you can see behind me, I was able to build the build from level 1 to the progressional build to this particular state, which we can use the Headhunter buffs to great success. And even for my potato computer, the build is amazing and deals tons of damage. So in this video, I will be showcasing you guys this particular build from level 1 step by step of how you can farm in some of the best currencies and also different methods of getting tons of good loots in the game using the Deadeye. We'll be going through the leveling progress for the Deadeye characters if this is your first character to be leveling, and also the transitional skills, the method, and also different abilities through the leveling progress. And over here you can see I have prepared a number of different notes for this particular build to give you guys the best insight from the early game, leveling, mid game, and also late game transitional setups for different parts of building. And we do have additional notes if you guys want to become stronger for this build for the top tier endgame. And looking behind me, you can see there is gonna be a number of builders guide you guys can follow, starting from the basic tier, and also as you can see with a lower cost with 1 to 5 divine, all the way up to the Headhunter setup and how you can transitioning into those. I have also prepared a number of different guides for this particular setup, including the maximal leveling guide and also the Altas transitional guide for leveling and also for map progression for this setup. So as a summary of the build, let's have a look what is happening over here. I'm currently running elemental hit for the Deadeye, and this allows me to deal multiple sources of elemental damage with cold, fire, and also lightning, together with abilities to absorb the monster's affixes after killing a Headhunter. And you don't have to have the Headhunter. Just a simple gem with Inspire Landing can allow you to steal the affixes for 20 seconds. So it gets a little crazy, as you can see over here. My computer is a little laggy. And the best part about this build is that it's very easy, very speedy, and deals tons of damage. Most of your skills are auto-casted. You can be casting Berserk to deal even more damage and also provide you guys with even more movement speed. And because we have been crafting the potions that they're auto-casted, your potions are auto-casting, your spells are auto-casting, and all you have to do is move around and shoot everything within the map. You have insane range of map clear ability and also tons of movement speed. This means each time you shoot, you're basically wiping the whole map, gaining tons of buffs, tons of defensive mechanics, and also way more damage than most of the other builds for the price you're paying for this setup. Now this particular Deadeye setup is one of the best league starters I have tried, and yes, this is insanely fast and it doesn't cost a lot of currency for you to get started and have the potential to exceed expectations, just gaining tons of buffs. So I really recommend trying this build, and it is definitely one of the most broken league starters in the game. Now I'm not saying this is gonna be the best endgame build, but because of how cheap it is, you can be farming so much more currencies by playing Path of Exile using this particular setup. And in the later stage of the videos, I'll show you guys how I was farming the legions and also how I was getting tons of currencies. So coming to our notes for a better summary. As you guys saw in the replays, which I'll also provide you guys at the end of the videos, you can see the strength of the Deadeye character with elemental hit of the spectrum together with the Headhunter or maybe Inspire Landing to gain tons of buffs. And this is one of the most powerful farming builds I've tried in Path of Exile, and I'm currently having such a good time with it. So the first thing, let's talk about the build. The concept of the build is that we'll be using this particular ability, which is going to be elemental hit of the spectrum. Now this particular gem will cost about 50 to 60 chaos, but you don't have to start off with this right away if you're starting a character for Path of Exile for this setup. You can go with lightning arrows, and following the max roll guide is not bad to get you started. Now one of the best part about this particular setup is a majority of my skills are auto-casted, and we can easily adjust for bossing and also single target to deal tons of damage. The strength of this Deadeye build is that you'll be dealing tons of damage, it's very fast to level up, and you can be one of the best currency farmers in the game to have insane clearance speed. And this is before you even get your Headhunter. If you get your Headhunter, as you saw in the replays, you become gigantic, you take all the buffs, and you become unstoppable. Now because we're running a Deadeye, we're quite glass cannon in terms of we're getting a lot more damage. and this can be the case that you cannot face tank bosses. And this is one of the downside if you're planning to do a boss farming build for the super juice and also late game. And this is the bigger focus. You will not be able to tank everything. While having the Headhunter buffs, you will be super strong and most things will melt in front of you. So we're building towards more offense than defense, and this allows you to clear the maps with super speed. So briefly going through the setup for my Deadeye. I'm currently using Elemental Hit of the Spectrum together with Inspiration support, Mirage Archer support, together with Returning Projectiles, Trinity support, and also Elemental Damage with attack spells. Those are my 6 links. Now I'll be auto-casting my Warlock's Mark together with Life Tap, Power Charge on Critical Strike, and Cast on Critical Strike support, together with Frenzy of Onslaught and also Mana Forge Arrows, which allows me to auto-cast this entire setup and get tons of buffs and also power charges. Now I'm currently running auras with Hatred, Precision, Anger, and also Summoning Scatterbolt. Together with having level 3 Enlighten support, this takes my mana to about 75. Now the cost of my arrows is about 14 mana, and this is definitely enough for me to find multiple arrows. Now finally, we'll be casting Storm Ring with Life Tap support, Concentrated Effect support, and also Mana Forge Arrows to allow us to be casting this ability to have even more amplification for our spells. Now if we come over to the leveling setup and also the transitional build, you can see in the replays the build is actually really speedy if you guys want to start this as a leveling character, and this is one of the best league starters because of insane ability to clear and also it's really good at mobility. And as you transition through the map, you're gonna have no problems throughout this particular build. And this is before we get the Elemental Hit Spectrum gem, and you can see some of my replays as I was leveling up. And here as I deal tons of damage against the boss, you should not have any problems in terms of leveling this build throughout the entire act from Act 1 to Act 10. And over here I'll provide the builder's guide I followed for the Lightning Deadeye before I got my gems, before I leveled up. So this way the leveling progress should be much easier for you guys. Now do keep in mind, if you're following the max roll guide, expect to use some Orb of Regrets to be respecting out of the leveling build, because some of the perks you are pathing can be a little different. But on the other hand, I'll be providing you guys with several transitional builds, including my early mapping, mid-game and also end-game transitional builds, and those will be available with a Path of Builder links. Now do keep in mind guys, I'm not saying that my build is gonna be perfectly optimized, and I'm also still learning with the Deadeye. So even though I'm saying this is gonna be a budget endgame build, there may be still progress and also ways to upgrade the build. So if you guys see ways of upgrading the build, let me know in the comments as well. Now going through some of my tips and also advices for each stage of the build. As for leveling guys, you can be using Ballista and then Artillery Ballista for single target. It is quite important for us to find the 10% instant leech knot, and what I don't want to do is, I'll show you guys over here. We can be finding the leech mastery over here, and the 10% leech is instant. But as you're gonna see later stage in the game, I perked over here for the 10% leech knot, because I had more points as I was moving towards the top of the knots. And in the transitional builds, most of my initial setup, I came over here for 2 perks to gain leech of mana. And this will have no mana problems after getting the 10% instant leech. And this allows us to be constantly casting our arrows. Together with ways of finding additional arrows fired with our passives and also with our ascensions, this allows the build to deal even more damage. Now if we come over to the number of builds for the Path of Builder, let's come over to the basic one I was starting. And if we come over to the items, what you're gonna notice is my items will be quite cheaper in terms of the setup. You do want a bow with high rolled elemental damage, with fire, cold and also lightning. Together with more multipliers, projectile speed, attack speed, this will be ideal. At the same time, if you can get your hand on this particular 6-link chest, it is good. And here I'm still using the same chest as I show you guys over here. If you cannot get a 6-link chest of this unique chest, you can go for a rare version of the chest with high evasion and also with more defensive stats. Now one of the biggest highlights for the build of course is going to be the Headhunter. As you guys go through the transitional build, you are not likely going to have the Headhunter until you save up over 20 or 30 Divine. and this will be one of the biggest boosts for the damage of the build. But if we come over to the Path of Builder, I'm recommending using this particular gem called Inspire Learning. This particular gem is like a mini Headhunter which allows you gain the monster's modifiers for 20 seconds, and most of the time I can be getting 5 to 10 different modifiers. Now it is not going to be as crazy as a Headhunter, but that particular gem was selling for about 30 chaos compared to the Headhunter, which is selling over for 30 divine. So this is definitely a budget version that if you guys follow the early game setup for the cheaper versions of the build. Now as you guys go through the transitional progress, if you do have more currency, I do recommend going to a later stage of the build with over 25 divine or even higher. But because the build is set up in such a way, you can follow it as you transition it, and if you look at the items of choices and also stats, those are tailor-made for a cheaper version of the build, which allows you guys to get started and to start farming tier 16 maps to earn a lot of currency. Now as you can see in the notes behind me, I have provided with additional notes on the leveling tips and also on different ways that can help you leveling, including getting more mana regeneration and also auto casting potions after getting full charges. So let's briefly come over to the potions I'm currently using. I am running one healing potion which provides me with immunity to bleeding and also corrupted blood, together with a potion that provides me with increased critical chance, more movement speed, and also the Dying Sun. This provides us with 2 additional projectiles and also tons of fire resistance. I'm also converting additional physical damage into fire damage, and with higher fire resistance will become even more tankier. And finally I'll be stacking more evasion, which allows us to dodge most of the attacks, which avoid a majority of the damage. Now let's briefly go through the gears and also the targeted stats for my build. So I'm currently running a bow that does not have increased projectiles. So I do have a bow over here which I want to show you guys. This particular bow has 2 additional projectiles, and those 2 arrows will allow you to have a better map clearing. But for the current bow, I'm currently running a bow with over 1500 elemental DPS just for the single target damage. In terms of the helmet, you really want to look for mana reservation, and this can be really good if you can get this one on the explicit and also implicit. In terms of the quiver, you want to have 1 additional arrows, and also having higher critical chance is very good. In terms of the boots, you want to have a void elemental element. And if you look at my stats, having both avoiding elemental elements crafted, I have over 100% avoidance for elemental elements. And this can be really good because after getting to this particular basic jewel, we have another 50% to avoid elemental elements with spell suppression. And this together allows me to have over 100 avoidance for those elemental elements. Now you guys might have noticed I'm also stacking as much spell suppression as I can, and this really allows my build to have even more defensive capacities, close to 100% spell suppression against spells. Because we'll be dodging a lot of the physical attacks, having spell suppression is actually really powerful for the Deadeye to be survivable while dealing tons of damage. I'm currently using this particular unique amulet, which allows me to have a level 30 precision skill crafted with Anointed Sovereignty for better mana reservation, together with this particular unique chest for even higher chance of spell suppression and also increased evasion, and also getting more elemental resistance together with increased elemental damage with this particular unique ring. So those are not gonna be the most expensive gears. I can definitely find ways of getting upgrades. But at the moment, those are good enough for me to run any of the tier 16 and also tier 17 maps. Now briefly going through my Atlas tree. I have been learning a lot from my guildmates, and I'm currently using 2 different Atlas trees. The first one is what I was doing with my mapping as I get my white tiers on maps. What you want to do is, you want to come over to this node, which will give you 20 more Atlas points, and this allows you to perk into additional ways of buffing yourself after finding nickel. And this gives you tons of survivability while unlocking all the maps up to tier 16. And after getting most of my Atlas points unlocked, I'll be going over to this particular Legion setup. And this will be focused on the next guide, which will talk about how to farm Legions and also how to farm Legions 5 ways. Because if you look at my currency, I'm currently getting pretty decent currencies for a new player. And you can see here I'm selling a lot of the timeless jewels for close to 5 divine. and this is one of the ways I was making tons of currency. Now briefly going through the skill rotations and also the controls for this particular build. It is actually pretty straightforward. Most of the time guys, you just fire your arrows, elemental hit of the spectrum, and that's all you need. You can cast your Blood Rage whenever available, and this will drain life while you have the life still on. This won't be a problem. And for majority of the time, you can see there is a red bar on top of my mana bar, and this is the rage bar. Whenever needed, I can be casting my Berserk, and this will start to spin rage, and this will allow me to deal tons of damage against a single target against the boss or my B elites. But as you can see in the playthrough, you don't really have a problem with majority of the maps. Because you'll be running either the Inspiration Gem and also the Headhunter, you'll be getting tons of monsters FXs as you pass through the map, and this allows you to have an insane clearing speed while getting a lot of buffs, mobility, and also even high damage. So for majority of the time guys, you're running the build just pressing one button, or maybe two buttons, up to 3 buttons if you want to blink around. And this build is really fun and also really speedy for a Deadeye build for Path of Exile. So what I do now is, I'll provide you guys with a variety of different raid plays as I was playing the game, as I was leveling, and also as I was farming. So this will give you guys a better demonstration of the setup and also the potential of the build after playing for a few days. Yes, I have been working on this build for the past 5 to 6 days, and I have wanted to try everything starting from leveling, all the way to farming, and also all the way to the availability of the endgame. And in the future guys, I'll be making more builds relating to farming with this particular setup, so you guys can be getting more currencies and also trying even stronger upgrades and also getting tons of loots. Now if you guys find my videos and also guides helpful and also want to support my passion in making more guides and also more videos for the last epoch and also more games to come like Path of Exile, please consider joining me on Patreon, and also here I have created my Ko-Fi page. You can also support me directly through donations, but supporting me continuously with one of those memberships will mean a lot for my future updated videos and to become financially sustainable, so I can be continuing making videos for you guys and doing what I love the most, and that is to share and also teach our communities as I dive into different games and making more guides for you guys. And as you guys gonna see in the future, I'll have different ranks and also perk advantages and also special events and also special features for members like account reviews, perfecting the build for you guys, and also co-op time play, and also even special future videos for you guys on your special build for different members.
I'm not up to that just yet. My mana is gone. My mana is gone.